random experiment. When the experiment is deterministic, the outcome of that experiment can be predicted because you have a list of outcomes present before you. Suppose you are doing an experiment in the laboratory, whether it is physics laboratory, chemistry laboratory, or electronic circuits laboratory. For every experiment, there is a list of observations you have to make. So you plot a curve between these two variables, voltage and current, or you plot a curve between, say, um, peak to peak amplitude at the output versus peak to peak amplitude on the input side. So like that, the expected curves or um, performance characteristics are already defined. Okay, all those come under deterministic experiment. Okay, so experiment can be random experiment or deterministic experiment. Whether the experiment is random or deterministic, when the experiment is performed, you will have an outcome. What is the outcome? Outcome is the result of performing an experiment. So each outcome is of importance to us. But while dealing with that experiment, we define an event. The event can be single outcome of the experiment, or it can be a combination of a few outcomes of the experiment. Okay, that is how we have defined the event. So in this we have elementary event, then uh, composite event. That is how we have defined, right? So when I consider a random experiment, the outcome of the experiment need not be numerical in nature. For example, I wanted to select students who are well versed in music. Okay, so I will inquire with you who has got say knowledge in music, in singing music. Then what is the outcome? The names of the students. So the outcome is not the numerical in nature. Suppose you are you are asked to throw a die. So the outcome of that experiment is numerical in nature. So whether the outcome of the experiment is numerical or non-numerical, you can always map the outcome of the experiment to numerical side. Okay. So for example, um, if I wanted to know the names of the students who have got the proficiency in music, right? So I will list down the all the names. Say 10 students have come forward claiming that they have proficiency in music. So what I do now, I have to assign numericals to each student. So what I do is I will arrange the names in the alphabetical order. So for the first name, I assign a numerical value. The second name, I will assign numerical value of 2, like that up to 10. Okay. So this is an example where the outcome of the experiment is non-numerical in nature. Still, I assign numerical values to the experiment outcomes, right? That is what we have seen. Then sample space I have defined. Sample space is collection of all the possible outcomes. Then random, this is overview. So we got so many concepts. Is there any question from the previous topics, please? Okay, this is a different class. Okay. So do you
Sir,
have any
can you use the whiteboard in full screen mode, sir? Like it could be
please
better.
can you please repeat? Can you use
Whiteboard in full screen mode.
yeah. Yes. Thank you. The reason is yesterday I used that screen has been divided between the text, that syllabus sheet and the whiteboard, right? That is why it has come like that. Thank you for pointing out. Okay. And since the syllabus has been mentioned, okay, then yes, this is how I have planned your assessment. Okay, number of assignment. Now it is fine. So the upper set of 4 lines, they refer to the number of assignments marks, number of minors marks, mid examination marks, then end examination marks. Then assignment 1 happens after 12 classes. No, no. Syllabus is specified for assignment 1, for assignment 2 syllabus. Okay. Then minor 1 happens after 12, first 12 classes based on the syllabus covered. Okay. Minor 2 is after 12 classes from the mid examination. That is how I have planned. I hope this will give you a good distribution of the load. Okay. So first 12 classes, minor 1 will be conducted. After 12 classes, you will have mid. After that 12 classes, you have again minor 2. After that, you will have end examination. Okay. So totally around 40 classes will come. Assignment 1, you may have to submit by just after mid examination. Assignment 2, probably just before the end exam or immediately after the end exam, as you please, right? So the idea is whatever syllabus you prepare or go through for towards assignments, that content will be helpful for you in the mid examination as well as in the end examination. That is how I have planned. If you have better scheme, let me know. Anyway, all this will come in your recording, video recording of the class. Okay, I am closing this syllabus portion. Okay, so let me have this whiteboard. So what I have planned for today is, let us see what is meant by probability. Yesterday I did not explain. So by probability, what we mean is it is a mathematical tool to help us to study physical systems in an average sense. What does it mean? Suppose you wanted to go to a place away, you want to move away from your native place or from the place you are staying right now. So you have to catch a train. Okay. So it is from the railway timetable, you came to know that the train is arrival time is say 8:30 a.m. Okay. So what is that you can do? You can plan your arrival time, okay, to the railway station just before say 10 minutes. This is the scheduled arrival time, right? It so happened that due to traffic, you are delayed by say 5 minutes, and the arrival time is per train. Okay, departure time say 8:32 a.m. So this is for the person. Okay, if the person is delayed by 5 minutes, so he just arrived at the railway station say 5:35 a.m. So on that day, if the train is delayed by 10 minutes, then you will catch the train. If the train is not delayed by 10 minutes, no delay, you will miss the train. Okay. Suppose you have to travel every day, then say number of days you have, say 30 days you have traveled. Okay, out of 30 days, it so happened that you missed 2 days. Okay, in catching the train, and you are successful in boarding the train for the remaining 28 days. Then, if I ask you what is the probability of successfully boarding the train, then what we say 28 by 30. Okay. So it comes around how much? Okay, 0.93. What is the probability of missing the train? So you can say 2 by 30. Okay, so it is 0.6, so 0.06. With this information, if somebody tries to go, it so happened that somebody went to the railway station 5 minutes late on that day, he may miss the train. The reason is on that particular day, the train might have arrived in time and left as per scheduled departure time. So the mathematics, this mathematical tool gives a the study of the physical phenomenon in average sense, but we cannot rely upon it totally. On the day when you are late to the railway station, probably the train might have arrived. On all other days, the train might have delayed its arrival time and delayed its departure time. Okay. So that is what we mean by helping to study the physical system in an average sense. I hope the things are clear. So let me go to the other aspect in how many ways the concept of probability can be viewed. Okay. And there in the literature we have four ways of looking at probability. Okay. So what I write is the different kinds of probability. Okay. So I missed the there is no issue. Different kinds of probability from here. Okay, let me go horizontally. Okay. Different kinds of probability. So under this, we have four types that are listed. One is probability by intuition. That is first approach for probability. Probability as intuition. So probability as intuition. By this, what I mean is, in this, whatever I understand immediately by looking at an event, what is understood by the mind without any reasoning, that is referred to as intuition. This kind of probability deals with judgments based on intuition. Suppose I notice that a student is not responding to my question, what I can think is probably the student did not understand what I am asking. That is one thing. Suppose the student did not respond, I can also feel that the student did not hear me. Okay, these two possible cases can happen. And in our UH class, there was always a mention about intention and competence. Okay, so if I think that the student did not hear me, the student was unable to understand what I am speaking, that means I am referring to competence, right? Instead, if I feel that the student is not caring for me, then I am referring to intention. So, if I am of the impression that the students who are attending the class are coming to the class to listen to the teacher, then I don't have any doubt on intention. Okay. If I if there is no response from student when I put pose a question to the students, probably the student did not respond to me because at that particular instant of time, the student is away from his laptop or mobile, okay, or the student could not hear me because of network connectivity. Okay, so this intention and competence parts we refer frequently to in UHV, and it is very relevant, right? Okay, you can cross check the importance of these two in your daily life. So by probability as intuition, what we mean is the judgments that we make without logical reasoning. So the moment we see an incident, we conclude. Suppose there is an accident in the main road, then probably what people will say, probably the um, vehicle was driven very fast. Probably the person who made the accident did not take enough care. Right? So this kind of statements we make. That is what the first category. That is probability as intuition. There is no mathematical background for this. There is no further analysis that we can make. The statement is closed. Okay. The moment I say probably he is not caring, probably he is not listening. So that is over. There is no further um, in-depth study that we can carry out. The second type of probability is probability as the ratio of, let me write down, probability as the ratio of favorable to total outcomes. Favorable to total outcomes. Okay. What does this mean? It is the ratio of favorable to total outcomes. Suppose I am throwing a die. So when I am trying to throw a die, what is the number of favorable outcomes? Six favorable outcomes, right? Then what is the total number of outcomes? Number of outcomes. Suppose I repeat the experiment n times. Okay, if I repeat the experiment 10 times, okay, let me erase that part. If I repeat the experiment 10 times, n times, say favorable outcomes. By favorable outcomes, what I mean is favorable outcome. Say favorable outcome is getting 6 when I, because I am throwing a die. What are the possible outcomes? 1 to 6. These are all possible outcomes. Okay. And this set of possible outcomes is also referred to as sample space, which we have seen in previous class. Favorable outcome is getting 6. This favorable outcome is also referred to as event. Okay. So when I repeat the experiment n times, the favorable outcome is getting 6. Out of n, suppose I get ne times the outcome as 6. Then the probability of getting 6 is ne by n. This is how the experiment is defined. Okay. And in this case, the underlying assumption was all events are equally likely. This is what I consider. All events are equally likely. But when I consider a practical case, suppose I toss the die 6 times, there is no guarantee that I will get outcomes as 1, 2, 3, and so on 6 in sequence or in a random manner. Out of 6 attempts the experiment is performed, the number of times a particular outcome happens may be more than once or it may not happen at all, right? That is the limitation with uh, second way of defining the probability. So there is, so the second method is also known as classical theory of probability. Then there is third way of defining probability. It is defined as a measure of frequency of occurrence. Probability as a measure of frequency of occurrence. Okay. So when I make this statement, what does it mean? The experiment is performed. Now, experiment is performed. And it has been observed that NE is the number of times the event has occurred. Okay. And capital N is the number of times the experiment is repeated. Now the probability of occurrence of event is given by NE times N. But here experiment is in fact performed. So the value of N should be infinity. Okay. So the problem here is I cannot perform the experiment an infinite number of times to arrive at the probability of an event. Okay. That is the problem associated with this experiment. Then there is another way of defining the probability, that is probability based on an axiomatic approach. By axiomatic approach, what we mean is this. Here, the probability of an event is specified as a value. And in the experiment, we have so many outcomes. From these outcomes, we define events. Whatever comes out of the experiment is an outcome. Just group a few outcomes, define events. Then the probability of these events satisfies certain criteria. So by axiom, what we mean is it is a self-evident rule. So no proof is required to elaborate on that. That is what we mean by axiomatic approach. What are the axioms that are to be fulfilled by the probability of a particular event, the probability of any event that comes out of the experiment is always bounded by 0 and 1. These are the, this is the first axiom. Okay. Okay, this is not circle because of the software that is used. Okay, we are getting zeros. So the probability of an event is bounded by values 0 and 1. That is first axiom. The second axiom is if the outcome of an experiment, suppose the experiment has got several outcomes. From those outcomes, I have defined events, say M events, and so on. The sum of these probabilities should be 1. That means I assumed that um, um, A union B union and so on, union M is sample space. This is the underlying assumption. Okay. Then third axiom is, suppose there is an impossible event. How do we define impossible event? Suppose I don't make any effort, say, to learn some subject, one subject, say music, singing. I don't make any attempt at all, then it becomes an impossible event. Okay. So if there is an impossible event labeled as A, the probability of occurrence of that impossible event is 0. Then there can be a certain event. If I have a certain event A, the probability of occurrence of that event is 1. So these are the axioms that are to be fulfilled by the quantity labeled as probability. So the axiomatic approach says that the probability of an event has to satisfy these four axioms. So the event I consider, if it is certain event, it should be having a probability of occurrence as 1. If it is impossible event, the probability of occurrence of that event is 0. If it is, if I consider the union of all the events, then it becomes 1. Okay. So the second part can also be, okay, anyway, here it is written, right? So A union B and so union and so on up to N. So this is about how do we define the probability of the outcomes of the experiment. Next thing is, I said that I will link up this subject with your UHV, right? And till this point, defining probability from four perspectives: probability as intuition, probability as a relative frequency approach, then probability as the ratio of uh, probable outcomes by total number of outcomes, probability based on axiomatic approach. This information is taken from uh, Papolis, right? Second or first, right? Please check your syllabus. From Papolis, you have all the four types, okay? And under each statement, a few worked out examples are there. Please go through those worked out examples. And in assignment 1, what I expect you is work out all worked out examples. Work out all worked out examples in a notebook or A4 sheet as you like. From which books? From Papolis and Peoples. You need not write the question. You write page number, say page 5 or 10. Then in that page, there will be example 2, something like that, the description for each example. So you put down your own steps. Don't repeat the steps that are listed in the textbook. Your own steps. Your own steps for solving the problem. So I will be assigning marks based on whether you copy the steps from the textbook or you put down your own steps. Okay. I hope that things are clear. So for assignment 1, assignment 2, please try to work out all the worked out examples from both the books on separate notebook or separate sheets. Okay. So submit assignment 1 through your CR. That CR will send me a link to open those files. Okay. I hope the things are clear. Right.
Sir,
Please, please.
um, Sir, by examples for assignment 1, do you mean only from this topic or all topics?
From all topics.
Okay, sir.
I have listed now. Assignment 1 is up to and including one
Oh,
function of 2 random variables.
okay, sir.
So
Thank you.
every day I will be covering a few topics. Relevant to that, try to work out examples from the both the books in a neatly um, systematic way. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So okay. Any other questions, please? So every day you have to put in little effort, maybe half an hour or 1 hour. So that gets accumulated towards assignment 1. That gets accumulated towards your preparation for minor 1, your preparation for mid also. Okay. Okay, thank you. Then this is what for explanation on various ways of probability, defining probability. Then when it comes to the application of this to our concepts you have studied in UHV. Okay. Universal human values, which you have studied 1 year back, just to recollect. So in this nature, okay, what is meant by nature? Whatever you see when you go out, that is what is nature. So the nature includes planets, the nature includes rivers, the nature includes trees, the nature includes mountains, and so on. Whatever you see once you go out, birds, okay, birds also I can use, animals I can include, and human beings. Okay, so when you see the nature includes so many things. Okay, all of them are grouped under 4 categories. One is mm, okay, material order. Okay, then what else? Uh, Material order, then pranic order. Just you recollect the names which you have heard in first year, just before joining the first year induction program, right? Pranic order, then animal order, then human order. Okay. So what is there in this universe? In this universe, you have so so in the universe you have material order. Okay. Then you have pranic order. Of course, they are mutually exclusive, right? If you classify an element as say pranic order, it cannot come under any other order. So what I should plan is I should plan a bigger circle for um, this. Okay. So what I do, I will shift this. I will have a big circle so that um, material order comes, then pranic order comes, okay. Then animal order also comes into this, then human order also comes into this. Okay. And make sure that there is no intersection between uh, any order, right? What does it mean? If I classify a material, an entity as material order, it should not include pranic order. If I classify an entity as material pranic order, it should not include anything from human order. So one more thing. So carefully you place the circles so that there is no I can make this smaller so that it fits into the circle. And this is what universe is. So pranic. So I think animal order can come here. I think here I can have a material order. here human order, H. Okay. So this is what is the sample space in nature? If I ask you, the sample space includes all the elements from all the four orders, right? So sample space is, this is how I write: material order, comma, pranic order, comma, then animal order, okay, then comma, human order, because there is no other element which cannot be grouped under these four categories. So my sample space is this. So in this figure, the flaw is, or shortcoming is, I have shown some elements outside the inner circles. There is nothing that falls outside these circles. Okay. So once I consider these four orders, all entities in the universe has been covered. So what I can consider this gap as space. Okay. Space is not included. No, it is fine. Then now my question is, what is the probability of spotting, okay, spotting an element from, say, animal order, spotting an entity. Okay, let me be clear so I can make it more understandable. Okay, what is the probability of spotting an entity from animal order? Just you have gone out of the house order. Okay, let me, okay, let me write properly. Is it okay? Suppose you are living in, say, flats, apartment. In a flat you are living. Nobody is having pet animal order, and there are no birds around, no plants, okay, no trees, no vegetation. Then the moment you come out of your house, what is the probability of spotting an entity from animal order? It is zero. Suppose you are living in independent house, then you have vegetation around, then probably the probability of spotting an entity from animal order, it can be a bird, it can be an insect, it can be a pet animal, or it can be the other kind of animals. Okay, then this cannot be zero. So it all depends on the nature. Then when it comes to material order, the earth, sun, then moon, right? Then water, all these come under material orders. So what is the probability of spotting material order once you come out of the flat? It is 1. What is the reason? The cement, the floor that is made up of uh, with cement, that is material order. The concrete structure you notice, that is material order. Okay. So the probability of spotting material order in the nature, once you come out of your house, material order probability is 1. When it comes to pranic order, pranic means trees. So if there is no vegetation, the probability of spotting a tree is 0. Then human order. The moment you come out of your flat, what is the probability of finding a human being? If you are living in a place where people are always busy coming, visiting the house, leaving the house, okay, then you can find a person when you come out of your house. Or suppose you are in a playground, then what is the probability of finding an entity from human order based on its timing? Playground, so there are certain preferred timings for people to assemble to play. Okay, I hope the things are clear. So in this, what I plan to say is, sample space I wanted to define, then grouping of the elements you find under different orders. Normally, you can notice animals, you can notice uh, mountains when you go out, you can notice people, okay, you can notice, say, uh, many other things, right? So, all of them will fall under one of these four categories, okay. So, this is the concept of the concept of sample space and what else? Sample space and probability of spotting an entity in that sample space. Okay, this is what I wanted to find. Okay. The other concept which I discussed is the concept of intention and competency. And you know the difference. The intention is the inherent feeling. And in UHV, we say the feeling that I should make others happy, the feeling that I should perform well. That is what the inherent feeling. Competency means ability to carry out the work. So, though I want to make others happy, though I want to perform well, my competency always puts a limit on the performance. Okay. So, if my intention is indicated by this outer circle, my competency is very small. So, this is how it is. So, my task is to enhance my competency so that my competency exactly reflects the intention that is expected of a human being. So something like this I want. That is theoretical concept. Okay. If intention matches with competency, then the relation with that person will be very nice. So if competency is not so much, right, then there is responsibility on the other person having more competency to improve the competency of less competent person. That is how we have defined the competency. Okay. So uh, these are the two things I wanted to explain. Then another thing is, any questions in this, please? Yes. Suppose another example could be, um, I wanted to cover a few topics in the class. I tried to cover them. Okay. So as a teacher, I will tell you about competence and intention. So uh, covering a few topics, okay, by the teacher. So this is my intention. Okay. How well I covered. This is competency. Okay. From the student point of view, the student wanted to understand all the concepts. This is his intention. Okay. Understand the concepts. And when it comes to competency, could understand a few things. This is competency. So always our competency should be increased, right? Then when we are dealing with the classical approach, classical theory of probability, we have two terms. One is a priori probability, then a posteriori probability. Okay. See the spelling RIORI, a posteriori probability. Okay. By a priori probability, what I mean is before you perform the experiment. Before experiment is performed. Then a posteriori means after the experiment is performed. example, there is a function going on in your house being scheduled, say, on 26th January. So you wanted to um, invite guests. Now, how many guests are to be invited? Because you felt that you want to be safe and at the same time your guests are also to be safe. So, how many guests are to be invited? That is to be decided before the experiment is done, before the function. So, it comes under a priori. Okay. After the function is over, how many attended? Okay. How many attended the function? This is known only after the function is completed. So that is the difference between a priori and a posteriori. Okay. So that is the difference. Okay. Another case can be rolling a die. Before the experiment is performed, you can say all the events are equally likely. All events, this is very interesting phrase. All events are equally likely. Okay, this is what is being considered a priori. So the probability of getting 1 when you roll a die is simply 1 by 6 because all the events are equally likely. So I consider the probability of getting 1 is 1 by 6, probability of getting 2 is also 1 by 6 and so on. But once the experiment is performed say 6 times, then the probability of getting 1 may not be equal to exactly 1 by 6. Okay, so after performance of the experiment, you have a different probability. A priori, you have a different probability. Okay, so these are the two terms that come up frequently. And any other thing would you like to add, please? Then, using the same example, suppose you have uh, invited number of guests invited. Say n guests. N is the number of guests you have invited. Um, suppose not everyone has attended. Number of guests attended. Say n minus 10, where n is far greater than 10. Okay, that is the basic assumption. Then you may think why people did not attend. What could be the reasons? What could be the reasons? You may think that people are away from home. Okay, people are not feeling well. They are preoccupied. Okay, then they are careless. Okay, any one of the reasons can happen, right? Now, in what way you should think about? Should you think about or you need not think about? If at all you give thought to such a trust, okay, then reverence. These are the values that do exist between uh, two human beings. So instead of reverence, let me put respect because after trust it is respect. After that it is affection. These are all the values that do exist between two human beings. Then care. There are 9 such terms. So then after care comes guidance. They go together. Care and guidance. it is G. Okay. Care, guidance, then reverence. So let me write on right hand side. After reverence, we have got glory, gratitude. So gratitude, let me. The reason is so gratitude is okay, I think. Then next is love. So in values flows. All these values flow between you and the invitee. If someone is did not turn up, probably just you evaluate the value that flows between you and that person. The person is trustworthy. That means he has some other work which he cannot avoid. The person whom you invite is giving value to the respect. That means right evaluation. Probably he is busy unexpectedly. If the person is very affectionate to you, definitely he would have come. Because of some reason he could not come. Okay, and this caring, guidance, then reverence. Okay. If you have, if that person has reverence for you, definitely you would have come, right? So like this, you just make a introspection of these 9 values. Then, and last one is love. So love is a bigger circle. So in this bigger circle, all other qualities happen: trust, respect, then affection, care, guidance, reverence, glory, and gratitude. Okay, all will happen. Fine. So I will stop over here. Please put some questions. Tomorrow, what I discuss is joint probability, conditional probability. These things I will take from Peebles. Okay, I will show the book also. Please stay online. Don't leave. Please stay online. Still, something is to be covered, right? Peebles is required. So this is what I wanted to cover. Joint probability. It is on 15th page. So till 15th page, 14th page I have covered in this class. So whatever is there till 14th page, please go through before you come to the next class. Of course, whatever is covered in the first 14 pages of Peebles is already known to you. Only thing is kindly review. Okay. Those things you have already studied in your previous courses. So I will start with joint probability, then followed by conditional probability, and so on, right? I will try to follow the sequence that is given in this Peebles text. And whenever I feel like giving a few examples, okay, I will divide the screen between the text and the whiteboard. Like this, I will share the screen between. This is not required. Okay. This is so like this. I will share the divide the screen into 2 parts, and I will try to explain the concepts. Okay. Any questions from your side? I hope the size of the font will be fine. Like this, I will have side by side both the whiteboard as well as the text on the left hand side. Okay. Any questions from your side, please? Please keep talking that helps you in the long run?
Excuse me, sir.
Please.
Sir, when you explain different kinds of probability, can you explain the third type again? I did not understand that.
Third type is actually
what-
you perform the experiment. Okay. Let me expand this. Okay. So probability one, explanation for one type of approach, explanation for the second type. Third type is probability is defined as ratio of number of favorable outcomes to the total number of performances, right? So consider an event A. Okay. So probability of getting an event A is number of times the event A has occurred, NE, by total number of times the event is repeated. So it is E. Okay. Please. So number of times event, okay, A has occurred by total number of times the experiment is repeated. Number of times A occurred. Okay. This is number of times experiment is repeated. It is actually the experiment is performed. So limit n tends to infinity. To get the exact probability, what should happen? N should approach infinity. Then only I can get a exact value for the probability of occurrence of event A. It is a practical situation. I am performing the experiment. Suppose I perform the experiment 100 times. I may get a specific value for the probability. Okay. Suppose I perform the experiment say 10,000 times. Probably I will get a better value for the probability of that event. In the second approach, it is purely theory. That's why it is called classical. And in classical case, the assumption of all events are equally likely holds good. In second case, I am not performing the experiment. I assume that all the events are equally likely. In the third case, I perform the experiment. Okay. How many times a particular event happens? That many number of times I take n suffix a divided by the total number of times the experiment is performed. Okay. Example is you have rolled a die. In definition 2, what is the probability of getting 1? It is 1 by 6 because all events are equally likely. Whether you perform the experiment 1000 times or multiples of 6, okay, it doesn't change. But in method 3, okay, suppose n is 100, probably I will get the probability of that event A, maybe 1 by 100. Suppose I perform that 10,000 times, there is no guarantee that the same value of probability will be carried on to second case also. It can be more than that, less than that. Now, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Any other question from your side, please?
So basically, in third kind, it's a posteriori probability, and the second kind, it's
Yes.
a priori.
A priori. Very good.
A priori.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. Normally, see, you have a communication system. See, any one of you has the ability to predict what I am going to speak? Is there anyone in the class who can predict what sentence I am going to speak before I speak that sentence?
No, sir.
No. That means you will understand only after listening. That is a posteriori, after experiment, after delivery of the sentence. If you have class recording, for the second time you are listening, then you can probably know what I am going to speak next minute. Am I right? So that is the difference between a posteriori, a priori. One is before, a priori is before experiment is performed. Second thing is a posteriori is after experiment. Correct. Any other question, please? See, I'm trying to give examples from UHV. The reason is probability theory, normally textbooks you selecting a ball, selecting a coin, tossing a coin, rolling a die. All these examples are very traditional, conventional, traditional. Okay. And in the textbooks also, same things are being given. So what I thought is, if I ask you to read the textbook, you will come across those examples. When you are listening to the class, listening to me in the class, if I can quote some examples from somewhere which really appeal, that makes the concept that are to be studied in this semester meaningful, and you will also can get insight into what you have already studied in UHV syllabus. That is why I am trying to bring in the concepts of UHV. Okay. Any other question? I think it is 12:34. Okay. Thank you for.
Sir, can you share the textbook?
Please. No,
Sir,
please repeat.
share the textbook.
Textbook, I told you, no? Oh, okay. In the syllabus, we have two textbooks, right? One is Peebles, the other one is Propolis. Okay. I will show the title of this. See, soft copies are available. Only thing is patiently you search, then you will get. Okay. Are you able to see the title? Okay. Let me push up so that. Okay. Yes. This is McGraw-Hill. Yes. This is the textbook I am following. Probability, random variables, and random signal principles, right? It is 4th edition, if I'm right. Okay. This is Peebles. Another book is Propolis. That is listed in the syllabus book. Any other question, please?
So for Populous, which edition should we refer?
Okay. See, whichever edition is available in soft copy, please have it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Soft copy is better to have, right? I also got one soft copy, but I did not remember anyway because you have asked me. Let me see. It will be nice if you have the same edition which I am following, right? Otherwise, things becomes difficult. Okay, this is which edition, please? 4th edition. Okay, this 4th edition is available, I think. Any other question from your side? If there are no questions, further questions, I will stop recording. And for today, we can close this session. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you all for your patient staying and listening